everyone! This week is Earth Day, and so I thought in STEAM class this week we would use some recyclable materials and turn those into a really pretty art project. So we're going to be using a certain type of plastic. It's recyclable number 6 plastic, and it's super important that we use that exact kind. We're going to be creating we're going to be making something called Shrinky Dinks. You can ask your parents if they remember those from when they were kids. We're going to be making Shrinky Dinks, and you can turn those in to either a necklace or even a sun catcher that you can hang in your window. Okay, for this activity, you're going to need a sheet of number 6 plastic. You can look right on the little recycle symbol, and it should have a number 6 inside. Any other type of plastic isn't going to work for this. It must be number 6. You're going to need some Sharpies. Yes, they need to be Sharpies, not just regular markers. They need to be permanent markers. Sharpies not, the brand isn't important, but permanent markers is. A hole punch. You're going to need some string, some scissors. You're going to need a baking dish that it's okay if it gets messed up. You can see this is my craft one that I do things like this on. It's okay if it kind of gets messed up. And then you're going to need a template, something to trace around to get the shape of your sun catcher. So to start with, we're going to flip this upside down. We're going to place our template on it, and we are going to trace around. Now I'm going to use blue to trace around mine because most of the earth is water, and this blue is going to represent water on my design. Okay, after you do that, I'm going to suggest that you go ahead and do the rest of your design before you try to cut it out. That way, if you get out of the lines or something, it'll be okay. So I'm just going to do sort of it's not going to be perfect, just sort of an abstract thing of continents and oceans. So it's not really going to look like any of the continents necessarily. So we're just going to kind of do something like this, and we'll fill that in with green. We'll go ahead and come over here and just do another one, and maybe just put something else down there. Okay, then you're just going to fill it in with green. Sorry about the sound. And then everything else on here is water, but because it's Earth Day, and we want to try to capture the idea that we love our earth and we want to protect it and recycle and save our earth, I'm going to go ahead and add a heart to mine with red, and then I'll fill everything else in with blue. Does anyone know about how much of the earth is covered in water? If you know about how much of the earth is covered in water, I would love for you to put that in the comments here, or send an email or something like that. Also, if you can name the major bodies of water in the world, I'd love to hear that. The oceans and seas. If you know the oceans and the seas, I'd love for you to label those for me on a drawing or an illustration, or even just in the comments. I'd love to know that you know those things. Another challenge for you during this, can you tell me what the longest river in the world is? Can you also tell me the river that has the most water? Because you know those aren't necessarily the same thing. So let's say the longest river and the river that carries the most water. I'd like to know if you know those things too. Okay, after this point, you're going to cut out your circle. Now this gets a little crazy I'm going to suggest that you cut off a section of this and just sort of get it out of your way. Don't throw it away because you might can recycle that and do something with it. So we're just going to cut. It's very easy to cut this number 6 plastics very thin. Just going to cut right around your design. Move this out of your way. All right, next you want to figure out the orientation of your design. So this is the top of mine. This is the bottom. So I'm going to put a hole using my hole punch in the top of my design. About right there. Now, it's important, and I didn't mention this, but it's important to make your design bigger than what you want it to end up. So I picked a pretty large can to trace because this is going to shrink when we put it in the oven. Oh yes, you heard me right. We are putting this in the oven. You're going to put it in a 300-degree oven for about 3 minutes. Now this is the part where it's really important that you have your parents help you. I don't want anyone reaching into the oven without supervision, okay? So make sure you have an adult or a babysitter or a parent, grandparent, someone there with you when you do this step. So we're just going to put it right into the hot oven, and then we'll come back to this video in just a minute. Okay, so we're back. This is our finished product. Remember, this is how big it started. This is how big it ends up. So it is very important that you make it bigger, your template much bigger than you expect it to be when you're finished. Now, what you're going to do after this point is the hole that you made, remember we did that, the hole punch is very important because now you're going to put your string through it, and you have options at this point. You can either wear it like a necklace, oops, or you can hang it in a window as a sun catcher. And my string is kind of frayed, not wanting to come through there. There we go. All right, so you have options at this point. But here is the finished product. When we hold it up to the light, it's going to look really pretty. The light's going to pass through it. Or, like I said, tie it around your neck and wear it like a necklace.